Coming up next on Authentic Stories by Sue Mode. Everyone has a story to tell. Stay tuned and let's talk about it. Lina Barker and Aaron Wallace, based in London, are the founders of Aaron Wallace, which is a grooming brand for Black men. Lina Barker and Aaron Wallace have made the biggest breakthrough with their grooming brand because they were determined to create a brand that Black men would be proud of. And they certainly have, because this brand has solved the many challenges that Black men have faced with their skin and with their hair. What is Aaron Wallace all about?
We really want to provide a holistic, all-round service for Black men.
The brand has been going for about 5 years, and it has now become a multi-million pound business. These two young individuals have definitely made a difference in the world. They were not afraid to do what it takes in order to reach their objective. Setting goals is definitely the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. Always set goals that command your thoughts, liberate your energy, and inspire your hopes. On Authentic Stories today, we have Lina Barker and Aaron Wallace. The two of you are the founders of Aaron Wallace, which is a grooming brand for Black male, and it has actually solved a lot of the significant problems that they have been facing with their skin and their hair. And I know that this company of yours is doing amazingly well. It's a multi-million pound business. I'm very excited to hear about your journey, and I'm quite sure that the rest of the world is just as excited. But before we embark on that, could you please tell us something about your backgrounds, your educations, your professions, and so on?
So my name is Aaron Wallace, and this is Lina. We're the founders of Aaron Wallace Grooming. And a little bit about myself. I never know how far back to go whenever I get these questions. But I grew up in London, born and raised. And I grew up primarily around southeast London, so like Bromley, Lewisham, Peckham, Woolwich, like just all around the southeast area is kind of where I grew up. My background, I was working as a barber, so I had a barbershop in Croydon, and it was just through cutting hair and speaking with Black men and having those one-on-one conversations that the idea of Aaron Wallace, the grooming side of it, was born.
Yes. Lina?
A bit of background about me. I've got quite a varied background actually. So I was born in London, raised in Holland, and then came back to the UK. But I have a very strong foundation in my Tanzanian culture. And my mum has always instilled in me sort of like a go-getter mentality. And so I went to university and I did media studies to start with, but then I fell in love with the concept of advertising, and that's what led me into marketing. And it was through marketing that I then got into networking, which is a huge fundamental part of not just marketing, but I think life in general. And through networking, I started a company. That's how I met Aaron. Through that company, we did that together. And then when Aaron had this idea of creating products for Black men, he got me involved to help with the marketing side of things. And so that's how I ended up in the business at the very, very, very beginning.
You have both amazingly interesting backgrounds. So going down to basics, what is Aaron Wallace all about?
So Aaron Wallace, the goal of Aaron Wallace is to be the number one, the first thought for Black men when it comes to anything to do with their hair, their skin, their grooming. We started with hair care because, as I said, my background is as a barber. So we wanted to start with where my roots are is in Black hair care. As part of being a barber, it's not just hair care. So you'd be doing a lot of skincare treatments. You'd be doing a lot of shaves. A lot of it is both the hair and skin. So we really want to provide a holistic, all-round service for Black men, and create products that are specifically focused for the issues that we have with our melanated skin types and Afro hair types.
So these were the problems you saw among black male that made you think of creating a product, or rather a brand, that would help them out.
Yeah, so I mean, so when I was cutting day to day, I always say that as their barber, you wear many hats. So you're like part barber, part hair doctor, part financial advisor, part, do you know what I mean, relationship guru, all of these things. You have these one-on-one conversations with your clients. So men would always come to me and they would ask questions about, I'm trying to get my beard to grow, or my beard is patchy, or my hair's receding, or I've got ingrown hairs, what can I do about it? So a lot of these questions would naturally occur with your barber, and obviously I've got a bird's eye view of everyone's scalp. So it was kind of a natural occurrence, like just through having these conversations, we discuss what the issues are that the men are facing, and I noticed that many of the issues that men were facing had very similar root causes, and the root cause was often dehydration of the hair, dryness in the hair, which led to the breakage, which led to the patchiness. So once you'd have these conversations with men, it would always get to a point of, okay, we've identified what the issue is with my hair, I know what I should be doing, where can I now go to get these products? And that's where it would always become, I would always feel like I'm sending them on the treasure hunt, because at the time there wasn't much products around. So the first thing you had to do was find the Afro hair shop to begin with. And then once you find the Afro hair shop, the next part is to find the men's section within the Afro hair shop. And that would usually be like one shelf at the back, and it's like one range from the US, and it's not even natural. So just through having these conversations, I knew that we was basically an underserved market, and I felt that black men should be able to find natural quality premium hair care products that are specific for Afro hair, and they shouldn't have to go out of their way to find these products either. It should be easily accessible to them. So yeah, so we realized that there was an underserved market, and I thought that as the barber, I'm in the best position to offer a solution to that problem.
Yes, and Lina?
No, I absolutely agree with that. I think, as a black woman, I've had my own problems getting hair care products, and I feel like there is more work being done to solve that for a black woman, but there's not enough being done to solve that for black men. There's a huge gap in the market. If you go down the aisles in hair care shops, but even in Afro hair care shops, you have this entire shop floor full of products for women, and then one shelf for men who equally deserve that choice, that accessibility to products that work for them. But you get this one shelf. So even in the Afro hair care sector, they're underserved. So you can only imagine in the sort of general grooming sector just how underserved they are. So yeah, for us, it's all about becoming a brand that black men can feel proud of, can feel championed by. I want them to feel like, Aaron Wallace really champions me as a black man, and can make them feel seen in this space.
Yes, yes. And do you feel that black men have actually, they've become a better version of themselves? Because this is one of the things you write in your articles, that you're aiming for black male to become a better version of themselves by using this product. Do you feel that you have achieved this objective?
I think so. I think that we're on the way to achieving it, but it's a continual process. Becoming the best version of yourself is not really like a target, because once you hit that target, there's another target. So I believe in aiming to get 1% better every day. So you're continually just growing and growing and growing. I think for me, one of the things that I used to really enjoy when I was cutting is that feeling of when a man comes into the barbershop and he feels rough, he's hunched over, and he gets that fresh trim, and he looks in the mirror and he's like, yeah, like I feel good, I look good, and they leave the shop with a spring in their step. I wanted men to have that same feeling every day, even when they haven't had a fresh trim. So when they look their best and they feel their best, you go out and you present your best. You look your best externally, you feel your best internally. And when you feel your best internally, you're able to become the best version of yourself. It raises your spirits, it raises your mood.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Absolutely. Lina?
I don't have to wonder. I know for a fact that we have that difference to our customers because we get emails. We get customer reviews, people who are actually pointing out that finally there's a brand that is for me. Finally, there's products that work for my hair type. So we know by those testimonials that we're making the impact that we want to make. Obviously, the size of the impact is not as big as we want it to be because we want to be big in the UK and we've still got work to do. But those customers who have experienced our products have nothing but positive things to say about the impact the products have on their lives.
And that's something that really makes your day, is when you get feedback from the customers and they're like, this is like, I've been looking for something like this, and they really like it. So yeah.
So if one had to ask the both of you, what is the incidence that actually triggered you, or rather motivated you to start Aaron Wallace? What would you say, just in a nutshell?
I don't know if there was one specific moment that I can think of. I think it was just a natural journey of, like I said, having these conversations with men and realizing that I'm having very similar conversations with many black men, and the issues that they're facing are also very similar. And when I had the barbershop, I think it was wanting to provide the best service possible at the shop, and realizing that not having products to give to customers to take home and maintain their hair and maintain their beards, I was doing them a disservice at the time. So yeah, it was naturally just all of these different factors coming into play that was like, you know what, we need to create a quality natural range that addresses these issues. So yeah, what do you think? You know something?
I think for me the defining moment was looking at the numbers, being so shocked at just how many black men live in the UK. I mean, we know, when you live in black communities that there's lots of us, but when you actually look at the numbers, you don't realise just how many of us there are. And then going on the shop shelf and taking a picture of a shelf in like Sainsbury's of like men's hair care shelf. And it's like, there's absolutely nothing on that shelf that represents the vast majority of black men that live in this community. I think that was for me like the defining moment where I thought, how can this be in 2016 when we started the journey? How can this be in 2016 that you've got a shelf for men hair care and not a single representation of black men? Yet there's so many black men that lives in the UK. It's disproportionate. That those numbers don't add up. They don't match up.
Yeah.
So it was that moment for me that I felt like something needs to change.
Exactly, yes. And I know that you now have your products in the huge stores in the UK. Could you mention some of these stores?
So at the moment we are in Sainsbury's, we are in Liberty in central London, we are in ASOS, and we are in Debenhams and in the UK, as well as a whole bunch of Afro hair specialist retailers as well, like Hair Pop, Jamie,
Exilia
London. Yeah, we're in
definitely
to give them props as well, because
yes.
they're fantastic. Yeah, and then internationally we're in Zalando, which is EU based, Germany based in the EU, and we're also in Saks Fifth Avenue in the US.
That's amazing. So was it difficult for you to sort of convince these huge stores to have your products on their shelves, Lina?
No, is the short answer. And I'll tell you why. So I think what we did very well is position our brand. So we used PR to make sure that we had visibility online and offline. And we built a community online as well of brand ambassadors, of followers, but also of customers. And I think after Black Lives Matter really blew up, I mean, Black Lives Matter has been around for years, but I don't think it had the international attention that it had until last year, at the beginning of last year. And I think retailers at that time, actually took a look internally and looked at their shelves, looked at their customers, and realized, I wouldn't say decided, realized that they're not doing enough. They're not doing enough to be diverse. They're not doing enough to represent. And so they took the active journey of trying to change that. Of course, we had work to do as well. We had to convince them that we were the brand that they should, stock. But I think that they already had the idea that they're going to make a difference on their shelves. But the work that we've done before that put us in the best possible position to be able to navigate those conversations.
The groundwork. You mean the groundwork that you had done before that?
Yes, correct. So the groundwork that we've done before that already put us in the best possible position to be there. Of course, there are things that we had to prove and we had to convince them, but I think they also had their own agendas in terms of their diversity quota that they wanted to meet. But what we have done since then is absolutely incredible. I mean, getting us stocked was one thing. I mean, getting on the shelves and retail is not actually the hardest part. The hardest part is making sure that you get off the shelves. So you're on the shelves, that's a struggle. But then making sure that people buy and that you're hitting the right sales numbers, that's another challenge that comes afterwards. And I think that's something that we've done incredibly well. With ASOS, with Liberty, we've shown them, and we're continuing to show them that Black men buy, Black men want the products, and that Black consumers can actually make an impact on their revenue.
And you do have a lot of buyers, right? You can see the shelves are being emptied at a fast rate, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think with when it comes to retail, it's been a bit of a snowball effect where we've been rolling the snowball for years and years with retailers to like chipping away. Lina's been stalking people on LinkedIn, and we've been doing what we can for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years to kind of be on the radar of the retailers. So why are you laughing?
Because I'm not stalking people on LinkedIn.
I was going to comment.
This is going to go out to everybody.
I'm exaggerating, but
I was going to comment on that. I was going to say
we've been staying on we've been getting under the radar for the last 3, 4, 5 years. So it's been a snowball effect. I mean, me and Lina, not only have we been not stalking people on LinkedIn, but there was times where we've been going out physically to retailers, visiting different retailers, traveling up and down London to different retailers, traveling up and down to different barbershops, speaking with barbers. So we've been knocking on a lot of doors for a long time. So there's a saying that says, it takes 5 years to become an overnight success. So we've been working, knocking on doors for a long time. And I think the catalyst for where we are now, the Black Lives Matter thing has helped as well. Yeah. But we've been doing a lot of positioning for the last 3, 4, 5 years to get to be the first point of call when these events happen. Yes. I think that ASOS helped as well. I think firstly being with a lot of the specialist Black retailers helped establish our brand and our positioning. I think that ASOS helped open us up to a wider market, and I think that once we was kind of with ASOS, it kind of had a bit of a domino effect where some of the other retailers started to get in contact as well. But we've definitely been knocking on a lot of doors for a long time.
So what hurdles, what challenges have you experienced during this journey?
We are creating more demand than we're able to service as a small company, which applies a lot of pressure on our supply chain, applies a lot of pressure on our stock, and applies a lot of pressure on our budgets. And I think we're learning to overcome those hurdles. So that's a good thing. But for me, I think that's like, we've created so much demand, and actually we don't have the stock in place, we don't have the supply chain in place, but these are all learning curves, and we've now got a supply chain manager, so that won't be an issue going forward. But that, to me, I would feel is the biggest hurdle. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think supply chain logistics has been the biggest hurdle for us. Like, just growth, like just trying to manage our growth and scale our growth. Because sometimes you don't want to grow too fast because you can then trip up and get into trouble. But then you don't want to grow too slow because you can also get into trouble that way. So it's managing the right demand, forecasting correctly, and obviously with Brexit and supply chain issues, all of that stuff has all had a knock-on effect. And it's just been a learning curve. It's been a huge learning curve. But I think that in business, you go through different stages, and each stage there's a whole new set of things that you need to learn. So we've kind of been transitioning into like that medium to large stage. So we've been on a whole journey, like just learning all of these ins and outs of managing the supply chain.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure the pandemic has also played
Yeah.
a significant role in you not managing to get all the products that you want to get, or rather meet all the orders that you want to meet.
Yeah. So pandemic, Brexit, large retailers, increasing growth, all of these different factors that you're kind of having to balance all of these things effectively. It's been a challenge. I think that's been a big learning curve for us that we're getting over at the minute.
Tell me something. Where do you get your products from?
We manufacture our products all in the UK.
So would you mind to tell us what your products contain? What is the secret behind Aaron Wallace? I will respect you if you don't want to tell your secret. It's understandable. But what is it that is so great? What are the ingredients?
So I would say what makes our products really great is that we've formulated them with a specific focus. So from the very beginning, we kind of wrote healthy Afro hair and circled that. And we said all of our products need to, like, how are we going to address the issue of healthy Afro hair? What does it take to create healthy Afro hair? From that, we realized that it's not just one magical ingredient. It's actually a system, a routine that you have to develop in order to have healthy natural hair. So you need to have a natural shampoo that's not stripping your hair from too much moisture. A conditioner that's improving the actual condition of the hair, especially with Afro hair, so that you're not losing too much moisture. Afro hair is very prone to losing moisture. So conditioning the hair helps to increase the strength of the strand of hair to keep more moisture in for longer. Then you need the moisturizer, which actually adds moisture into the hair. And then once you've done those 3 water-based steps, you use a beard oil. So I often get men that come to that discover us and they're looking for beard oil. They want their beard to grow. They want to get rid of patches. And I always say to guys, beard oil is great and you need to use a beard oil as part of your routine, but a beard oil should actually be the last step of your routine, because there's no point using beard oil if the hair itself is not healthy, if the hair itself is not strong, or it's damaged or it's brittle. So natural shampoo, natural conditioner, moisturize, then the beard oil goes on last. And the beard oil, because it's oil-based, will seal the moisture into the hair for longer, keeping it softer for longer. In terms of the ingredients, I would say the 2 key ingredients that we have that's in all of our products is black seed oil and mango butter. The mango butter we chose because it's highly lipid. It's very good at keeping moisture in the hair for longer periods of time. And the black seed oil is one of those ingredients that's like it's almost mythical. Black seed oil has been used by the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Romans. It's mentioned in the Quran. And it's used for both internally and externally. It's used for the hair, it's used for the skin, and it's used for medicinal purposes as well. It's one of those ingredients that it's been known for so many different uses. It's often called the cure for anything except death. So black seed oil is one of those ingredients that I really wanted to include in the range. When it comes to hair, it's very good at it's very emollient, which means that it's very good at penetrating the follicles of the hair and keeping the moisture and getting the moisture deep into the strands of hair.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Very amazing. So I can understand that your product works, or rather why your product works so well. I can understand that. So I know that you've had a focus group or focus groups. What was the outcome of these focus groups?
We spent some time obviously speaking to Black men, trying to understand what actually are the issues that they're facing when it comes to their hair care and their beard care and their skin care. What solutions are they currently using and are they effective, and how can we really make a difference? And it's through focus groups that it just solidified what we already knew, which is there were no products for Black men. A lot of them either were using their their mum's products or their girlfriend's products, or something along those lines, or they were mixing their own in their houses. And for us, that wasn't good enough, in the sense that anybody who wants to take better care of themselves should be able to go to their local store and get a good shampoo, a good conditioner, a good moisturizer, a good oil, very basic stuff. And they shouldn't have to use someone else's product in their household or create their own products just because nothing else exists. So yeah, that's one of the things that we discovered through our focus group, is that they're just, all these black men were struggling to find the right products. And they were, as a result of it, they were either using someone else's or creating their own sort of concoction. So that's one of the things that we discovered. I think the other thing that we discovered is that a lot of the causes for their issues were rooted in dryness, dry hair, dry scalp. And so these are the problems that we knew that we could fix.
And you, like you mentioned earlier, you have actually fixed these problems because people are very, very happy with your products and they've helped them a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I took away from the focus group, pretty much exactly what Lina said, but one thing that always stuck out to me is that a lot of men were mixing their own products, literally just using stuff that you'll find in the kitchen. So like the raw coconut oils and just blending them together, their own stuff, which is good. But of course, these things are not often optimized for to have multiple different usages. So you're not going to get the same benefits, the same qualities if you've actually made the product correctly in the correct way, as opposed to just chucking stuff in a bowl and mixing it. So yeah, that was one of the key takeaways that I took. And like you said, Lina, it's just we felt that men we shouldn't have to do all of this extra stuff just to have products for our hair. We should be able to go out and buy something on the shelves that we know is natural and quality and premiumly made. Another thing was that a lot of men were using sulfate-based shampoos, which is especially bad for Afro hair type because it actually strips away all of the natural oils from the skin and can actually leave the beard more dry and more brittle than it was before. So yeah, those are probably two of the key takeaways.
The two of you are amazingly successful. This business of yours, Aaron Wallace, is huge and it's so successful. It's amazing. Do you ever stop up once in a while and sort of say, hey, I did a great job? Praise yourselves for the job that you have done.
That's a good question. I mean, I'm a very pragmatic person, so I'm always just okay, just get on with it type of person. But yeah, I mean, I do feel happy that we've achieved a lot. And when I first got into business, as in before I even opened my barbershop, when I was still working, I said that my key goal at that time was to be able to quit my job and make as much money as I was making in my salary, but working for myself. So I said, if I can work for myself and make the same amount that I'm making in my job, then I'm happy. So that was kind of my number one goal, was to just be self-employed and be comfortable. So everything else after that is just a bonus. That I'm always I practice gratitude every day. I meditate. I've been slacking lately, but I meditate almost every day. So I'm always grateful for all of our achievements. I'm also looking at, okay, what is the vision of the brand more so? So I'm thinking, okay, the vision of the brand is we've got hair care. I want to have something for skincare. We want to be the number one brand for grooming as a whole. So in my mind, there's still a lot that we need to do. There's still so much of the journey that we need to get through that we're still pretty much just at the beginning. So I'm just like, I appreciate everything we've done so far. And like I said, my number one goal has been hit. But yeah, there's a long road ahead. So I'm always looking forward.
Lina?
For me, I have come to realize that success, or the feeling of success, is elusive. It's always, within arm's reach, but then when you get there, it actually doesn't feel like you've actually gotten there. So then it's the next within arm's reach. But if I go back, I think, you know what's really cool, actually, let me put it this way. So Facebook reminds you of posts that you've made years ago. And I feel like when I go back in time and I look at those posts, that's when I'm reminded that I've actually reached the goals that set out for me quite early on. Because when you're in it, at the moment, it doesn't feel like success for me. I know other people will describe what we've done as successful, but it doesn't feel like that for me yet. And I don't know when it will feel like that for me, because each milestone I set doesn't quite get me to feeling like success. I don't know how to describe it. But anyways, going back on my old Facebook statuses, you know, I had statuses where like, yeah, one day I'm going to be in a major retail. We launched in ASOS, and that to me still didn't feel like success. Then we launched in Sainsbury's, which is great, by the way. I'm not trying to say that I'm ungrateful, but I still don't feel successful. So I don't know when that moment will come that I'll feel successful. I just feel like every time I get to something that is major, it doesn't give me the feeling of success that other people give that moment. So I feel like success is elusive. I don't know when I'll decide that I feel successful. I don't know when that moment will come that I'll say, I have done something successful. I don't know.
Do you think that could also be similar to the reason I said, in that the vision that we have, there's so much more that we want to implement?
No, because the vision I had was just, initially was being in a major retailer, which we are. Then it was working for my own business, which I do. I just don't know. I think success is elusive to me. I think success for me is not tied to what my business achieved, and I think it's tied to what I want to achieve personally as a human being. And I think until I achieve those things, I'll never consider myself successful, regardless of what my business does. I think for me, success is very much a personal thing. There's things that I want to achieve personally, and until I do those, no matter what the business does, I don't think I'll feel successful.
Yeah, and you know, I think even the most people that we would say are the most successful people on the planet would still have things on their board of things that they still want to do in life. So it's a ever growing thing. This thing called success. It's very subjective.
Yes. Your definitions are both correct. I mean, there's nothing right and wrong, you know, and of course you set goals for yourself, and you as a person want to achieve these goals, and you know what you want. So basically it's very individual, and it's healthy. It's healthy. It's a good thing, because it also means that you're not only satisfied because you have Sainsbury or you have something else, you know, you have goals, and you want to go on achieving the goals. I feel that is very, very healthy. It's a very healthy attitude, a very positive attitude, so to speak. Lina, I don't normally write notes down in my interviews, but I had to write this down. And that counts for you, Aaron, as well. I had to write this down in order to ensure that I have your quote 100%. You write in one of your articles, "The Tanzanian women in my life have driven me to carve my own version of success." Now, I know, Lina, that one of these women is your mom, Amina Zahra Ntengeti, who was my very, very dear friend, such a close friend. She died 6 years ago, but I can tell you, she will always have a very special place in my heart. How did your mom drive you to carve your own version of success?
I think my mom did an incredible job of giving me and my sister a sense of identity. She never forced us into any direction, and she never pushed us into any sort of route. She just encouraged us to be ourselves, because she believed that in doing that, we would eventually... Sorry, I'm struggling.
It's okay.
That we would eventually find our own roots. My mum was a free spirit. She was so loving, she was so encouraging, she was so kind, and she had so many friends and people that adored her. And a lot of that has got to do with the fact that she was just authentic. She was who she was, unapologetically, without question, without doubt. And she gave that to me and my sister. And because she gave that to me and my sister, we figured out our own way. And once we found our way, we did that unapologetically, without question, without doubt, very much like the person that she was.
Yes. Your mom was a very, very straightforward person. I mean, with your mom, you knew where you had her. There were no two questions about it. She was so real. As you mentioned, she was so authentic. And that's why she was loved by so many people. She was so special to me. So I know, and I know that your mom today is rejoicing in heaven. She always is rejoicing in heaven for the success that you have today and where you have reached today in life. I can tell you, she is rejoicing in heaven. No doubt about that. And what about the other women, apart from your mom, who have carved your way to success?
I've got incredibly fierce aunts. My mom was one of 7. One of them is an uncle. But the women, they are fierce, they are go-getters, they are fighters, they are individual in their own rights. They are highly successful in their own fields, which sets the bar extremely high for us children. I mean, you know, when you are surrounded by that level of success and fierceness, you have no choice but to try and match that, or at least exceed it. At least match it, at the best exceed it. So I've got incredible women that I get to call my aunts, who show me every day, not by their words, but by their action, what it takes to be a phenomenal woman.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I happen to know your whole family. I know all your mom's sisters, so I know the whole family, and I know how successful and amazing they are. It's just an amazing family. It definitely is. And the thing is, what I feel really good about this is that your mom was my best friend, right? But because she was my best friend, I ended up knowing the whole family, you know? And the whole family actually knows me so well. To this date, I communicate with them. You know, friendship at the time was amazing, I can tell you. It was amazing. Yes, absolutely. Now, Aaron, like I said earlier, I don't normally write notes when I do my interviews, but I had to do this one in order to make sure that I quote you 100%. You wrote on your FB, your Facebook, don't focus too much on tomorrow, but where you want to be in 2013 and work towards that. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I always, I'm very much a planner. I plan, I sit and think, and I like to have a long-term view. I'm very much a long-term thinker. So, I mean, I think you have to have a long-term view, a long-term goal, and then you reverse engineer. So you work backwards, you say, this is where I want to be, and then you work backwards. What are the steps that I need to do in order for me to get to that point? And we often underestimate how long it's going to take for us to reach the end goal that we map out for ourselves. We have a tendency to always shorten it and think that it can be done in a year when things take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. We have what you call the gestation period. So it's like when you plant a seed in the soil, that seed might be growing, but you don't realize that it's growing until it begins to sprout. So when it's growing in the soil, that's the gestation period. So I always say you just have to plan. You just have to plan where you want to be, because in order to get to where you want to be, you have to make gradual changes in your life and take the steps necessary to get to where you want to be in 2013 at the time.
Yes. And that's why you're saying you shouldn't think about tomorrow, right? Because the journey is long to reach 2031.
The journey is long. Tomorrow, like I said, you focus on becoming 1% better every day. As long as the steps that you're making are heading in the direction of the long-term goal, then you're okay. But don't expect to just jump straight to the long-term vision. It takes a long time. Anyone that's gotten anywhere or achieved anything will tell you that there's a lot of ups and downs, there's a lot of bumps in the road. And if you start a journey and don't have that in your mind, or you're not cognizant of the fact that there's gonna be bumps in the road, then when you hit those bumps, you're more likely to quit, you're more likely to give up. But if you go into it knowing that there's gonna be a lot of ups and downs, but there's gonna be a lot of ups and downs in the short term, but long term, this is where I wanna be, then I think you have a much better chance of achieving what you wanna do.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. So tell me, guys, is there anyone in particular that you would like to thank?
I would like to thank my auntie Mwami, who has been an absolute, I don't know what to describe that as. She's been incredible. She's been like a second mum to me. I call her my earth mum quite often. And she's been an absolute support system that I don't know how to show gratitude towards that. That aside, all of my aunts have played a pivotal role in my existence. They've each had an impact at different stages of my life. And I appreciate every single one of them. My cousins, my sister, my husband has been an incredible support system for me as well. What I'm trying to get at is that I don't know where to stop that list. My family, my friends have been incredible, and I owe everything to them.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I would thank. I would also thank Lina's mum. I think Lina's mum, I didn't get to meet her personally, but when the conversations that I did have with her, I would say that Lina embodies her to the T, including her enthusiasm, her very high levels of enthusiasm. And I would say in the very early stages of our business, especially when we were transitioning into Aaron Wallace, she was very, very supportive. She was keeping an eye on everything we was doing and offering lots of advice. So I would thank Lina's mum as well. I lost my stepfather at the start of this year. So I would thank my stepfather. He was a very inspirational person for me. He ran his own business as well. He had a construction building business as well. So, and he was one of the first men that I saw in my life that was really working for himself, was self-sufficient, was his own boss, and had achieved so much in life, but was still a very humble and just very funny and just down-to-earth person. Like, he was just a true legend. So he's someone that inspired me. My dad inspires me a lot. My dad is, I think I'm very similar to my dad in that I'm just quite a chill person, quite easygoing person. My dad inspires me. I'd say my mum inspires me hugely. My mum is like a sage. Like, my mum is someone that I speak to when I need advice, and when I just need wisdom, I speak to my mum. My mum is very, very wise. But in general, my family have just all been supportive. Lina and her family have all been supportive. And I think, I thank everyone. I think everyone's played a part, and I'm grateful for everything.
Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yes, you can buy our products in 195 Sainsbury's stores all across the nation. Make sure you visit your local Sainsbury's and buy Aaron Wallace.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. I will. I'll buy some. I'll buy some for my son. I will for the Christmas present. I will. So thank you so much, Aaron and Lina, for being on board, and may God bless you both.
Thank you so much for having us.